So a big deal for an awful lot of people learning any skill, whether it be magic based or pickpocketing, is what do I do if I get caught? That innate fear of failure. Well, let's deal with this in a couple of ways. First of all, we've already talked about why it's important to think about the now, not to imagine terrifying things happen in the future, because that's just going to get in your way. It's going to fill you with tension. It's going to slow you down in a bad way. You're going to lose that smooth flow, and it's going to become that horrible jerky movement, which will draw attention. All right. So let's think about nice and relaxed, good frame, good attention management. But now and again, things happen out of your control. You can't control everybody's attention. You can give them the ingredients, and hopefully the overall picture will fool them, or they'll be drawn in various ways away from what you want. We're working in that kind of grey area outside of their focus anyway. So as long as we've got their focus, we should be okay. But you know what? Now and again, things happen. I remember stealing somebody's watch a few years ago, and in the action of stealing it, somebody just happened to say, not to him, but nearby, "Oh, what's the time?" And because he'd heard that question, he naturally looked straight at his wrist. And the watch was halfway off. I was past the point of no return. I was caught. There's not a lot you can do about that, other than how you act and how you behave. Let me cover this though. People don't know how to react and respond until you tell them. Think about a child falling over, a toddler falling over, and they bang hit the deck. The first thing that they naturally do is they look up at a parent or guardian or a teacher, somebody in authority to them, to see how that person has reacted, and then they react themselves. And a lot of the times when magicians get caught, they forget this basic understanding of human behavior. People don't know that you've failed until you tell them. Yeah. So in this moment where you're doing something and somebody's attention is drawn to it, don't assume that they've caught you out. Yeah. Don't assume that they've even seen it, because actually, just because they're looking at it doesn't mean that they are perceiving it. If their mind is still focused elsewhere, they can look right at the dirty work and miss it entirely. I'm a great fan of Card Under Glass, classic bar magic moment. And I've had lots of occasions where somebody has looked at the card under the glass and back up at me without seeing the card. My good friend Gary Jones talks about his experience of the classic card trick where the card appears in your mouth. And he's had people look up at the card and look back down again at his hands and not seeing the card sticking out of his mouth. So just because somebody's looking at it doesn't mean that they've caught you. But how you react will help them out, will tell them things. So be very careful not to overreact to things, to be, allow yourself to stay calm and focused, to relax even more under those moments of duress. But also take advantage of when they do catch you, when there is no ambiguity at all. That moment where the guy goes, "Hey, you're trying to steal my watch," or "Whoa, I felt that." Think about what's just happened. They have just taken all of their attention and riveted it on one thing, which means they are utterly vulnerable to anything outside this area. Okay? So when you get caught, this often presents a brilliant opportunity for something else to be taken. And as you develop these skills and you learn to kind of jazz your pickpocketing, because I believe that all pickpocketing, it has to be jazz. You might have an intent or a basic structure, but you don't know how somebody's going to react, or what necessarily they're going to have in their pockets. You've got to be allowing yourself to think on your feet. Okay, and sometimes the best answer to being caught is to use that moment to steal something else. All right. You're going to see more demonstrations of this kind of stuff as we work our way through. You'll see where I take opportunities to take things that I wasn't even aware existed until that moment in time. But I can do this because I'm relaxed, I'm focused, I'm drawing their attention, and these little moments where they catch me, they don't worry me at all. The reason for that is that I adopt something called the wrongness approach. And it's a very simple mentality. See, most people, when they go through life, they think about success and fail. Right now, you guys learning to pickpocket, there's a tendency to look at this in an idea of either I will be successful in the steal or unsuccessful. I will succeed or I will fail. Now, thinking like that, you're taking success and failure into the mix. And the failure side of it brings along all of those unpleasant feelings, that tension, the anxiety. What if I get caught? What if I look stupid? All of those things exist because you take failure or the concept of failure with you. When I go into any interaction, when I'm working with somebody, or whether it be on stage or close up, the only thing that goes through my mind is this idea of enjoying the moment. It doesn't, I might have an intent of where I'd like to be, and where I'd like to be is the position of having all of their stuff in my hand and giving it back to them to a loud audience applause. That's my intent, but I'm not so locked into that anything else becomes failure in my mind. Okay, I have this wrongless approach. To me, it's about fun, about interactions. Sometimes being caught can be hilariously funny for my audience. And my job is to entertain you. Number one, first and foremost. My job isn't to make me look good. My job isn't about my ego. My job is about you, your entertainment. Did you enjoy this experience? Tick, you did. Brilliant. And if you enjoying this experience included that moment where something went horribly wrong and the audience fell about laughing, as long as I laugh with you, as long as I enjoy that moment as you enjoy it, it's always success. There's no failure at all. It's not even in the equation. Okay? The wrongness approach. With pickpocketing, it's an invaluable mentality to have because it allows you to deal with anything that happens with a smile, feeling absolutely fine, and never seeing it as failure, never seeing it as something to create anxiety or tension. Pickpocketing is about entertainment. I'm not here to teach you how to go into the streets and steal off an old lady. I'm teaching you how to entertain people with something that is inherently very, very cool. So when you're doing any pickpocketing, enjoy it. That's your intent. For me to have fun, for you to have fun, for us to, no matter what happens in this situation, it's all about the fun. It's all about the engagement and the enjoyment. And if you have that mentality, you'll find the steals come easier. Your ability to misdirect, to flow their attention is so much more powerful because you're not carrying this fear of failure with you. Be wrongless. It's so much better that way.